Hello, Steve Watts 89. Well, I just watched Quantum Leap, Season 1, Episode 18, the final episode, Judgment Day, which is a Terminator 2 reference, and there's a couple of that in this episode, which, is fine. Okay, so we last left Ben in 2051 talking to post-apocalyptic Ian. And post-apocalyptic Ian had been sitting around for 10 years writing a cheat code so Ben could basically restart his day because he's next going to jump back into himself in 2018 and try and fix everything from that point. Because that's the day that Martinez goes back and tries to kill Addison because she's the one who was supposed to jump. And Martinez, I guess, has been convinced by the government that the Quantum Leap program is going to destroy the world, and they have to destroy it to save the world because they blamed it for their problems. So he's just convinced it's going to be destroyed. So it's going to destroy the world. So he has to destroy it, and he has to do it through Addison because she's the leaper and everything. So he goes back and he's about to go on his first date with Addison. So that's awkward because he has to go on the date but pretend like he doesn't know everything that he knows, pretend that he doesn't know that Martinez is after them. Of course he can't do it. He breaks and he ends up telling her everything. She doesn't really believe him, but she kind of does, but she doesn't. He sends her off to hide to be safe, but of course, and then he goes back to headquarters where Martinez is going because he expects her to be there. But of course she follows him, goes there. Now Ben ends up getting caught because Ben's story's a little ridiculous, and Martinez has jumped into Magic's body and knows everything, of course. So he gets away with that for a while. Ben gets thrown in jail, not in jail, but held. Eventually, he uses a clue from it's Jen, I can't remember the other girl's name, the one who wrote all the code and security and everything, did the security. She basically had a code for if future her came back to talk to her or something, and it was turtle time, which I thought was a reference to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but apparently it's a reference to the Real Housewives of I think New York or something. And I'm like, I don't remember there being a time for turtles in that show. I've seen a few seasons of the show because I'm a gay. I don't know. I don't know what that reference is to, but she comes, they let him out, basically they rescue him, and they work out a plan, and Martinez eventually tries to blow up the accelerator. Ben intervenes, they end up getting thrown back in time, and they end up going back to times they've already been to. So we see him and Martinez, who's looking very hot in this episode actually, in the asylum, and then I think they go straight then to the cowboy western episode, and that's when he's like looking particularly good, and he's about to shoot Ben, and the black lady, who I can't remember her name, who was one of the people who'd helped back then, shoots him. So he dies, and of course because he's died in the past, he's dead. Martinez is gone, don't worry about him anymore. But there's lots of stuff happening. The cheat code had to be applied by all the Ians. And instead of just saying that, he said at the end, we need each other. And eventually they worked out, because he entered it, failed. They're like, we have to enter it together. So they all entered it somehow. And they did sort of save the day in that they got Ben where he had to go. They got him back. And the end of the episode is kind of weird because they're waiting for him to come back. They're waiting for him to leap back. And you see something forming on the platform, some light. And then they just show Addison's face, and then they cut to black, and it's the end of the season. And it's like, oh, okay, so another show doesn't actually deliver an ending. So not happy with Star Trek Picard, because last episode they implied they were going to let us know who and what Jack is, and we didn't find out this episode. And now this episode, the end of the season, and I'm like, well, of course they can't resolve this story. That's the problem with long-form storytelling in these, novels. Instead of doing TV series, you do a novel in chapters. When you get to the end, you have to start all over again, unlike a TV series that sets up a premise, a format, and then every episode works within that, and you can make as many episodes as you want for as many seasons as you want. But with these sort of stories where it's all being told in, one sort of... It's So I don't know where they're going to go with the next season. Martinez is dead. they have saved the future. Now, if he doesn't come home, they're going to have to make enough a reason for him not to come home and stretch that into another season. And they're going to have to do that every year. So that's the problem with this. It gets tiresome when every year you have this universe destroying, possibility coming up, and you have to beat it, and then everything's fine, and then you do the same thing over each year, and it's just a bit tedious. So I don't know where they're going with the next season. I did enjoy this episode. It was nice to see Ben just be himself, although it was him, future self in past self and that. And of course, the law of entanglement, they still end up together. Everything seems fairly happy, but we don't know what is appearing, in the Quantum Accelerator and what's going to happen next season, because they need a whole season. They need a story. Something has to go wrong to give them another season. So we'll see.